Hey guys, it's J19 brought to you in our live stream. Yes, we are back with another episode number 7 of J19's Gaming Podcast. So without further ado, I'm going to let you guys know that I wasn't planning on doing any live streams this week as from my yesterday's video. Well, it turns out I did a video. I want to cover Final Fantasy 16 news. There's an interview dropped with Yoshi P, and I wanted to cover it before I went to sleep. So I had a hard time sleeping, it's too hot. And so then, of course, my video goes live, and just shortly after, we get all these freaking interviews. It has a whole bunch of new information for Final Fantasy 16. So if you guys want more Final Fantasy 16 news, updates, reactions, streams, or more J19's Gaming Podcast, feel free to give this video a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification to stay notified when I go live or upload my next video. You guys know the drill. I'm going to let you guys come on and get situated. I'm going to do a couple of things, make sure we're ready to roll, and we'll get right into the thick of things. Welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of J19's Gaming Podcast. I am done. I am officially ready to go. I'm going to pop up some interviews on my phone here, and then we're going to read them through slowly. I'm going to talk about each interview as we go along. I don't know how long the stream's going to be, but I figure I'll have just Final Fantasy VII Remake in the background. Probably should load up a portion of the game so you guys have something in the background. Broken Worlds, let's do this. You guys have something to look at. So, let's go through with the first interview. I was like just ready to go to bed, and then of course they dropped the bombshell. So what I said, okay, interview with Naoki Yoshida sheds new light on Final Fantasy 16. This is from the PlayStation blog. I'm just gonna read everything to you guys, and here we go. In a wide-ranging talk, the producer shares fresh details on the game's development, juggling at Final Fantasy XIV, his favorite summon, and much more. For those eager to know yet more about the much-anticipated Final Fantasy XVI, your wait is over. Like us, you likely pored over every piece of text, every screenshot, trailer since the game was originally announced back in 2020. We had the first information about its world and characters. Mouse is pretty dry, hang on. And its world's character, most recently a closer look at gameplay as well as that all-important release window. Producer Naoki Yoshida has guided us through all three here on PlayStation Blog. We're able to quiz Yoshida-san to pull back the curtain a little on the game's development. Here we get his personal perspective on, amongst other things, answering the call to create the latest mainline Final Fantasy title, developing for PS5, his favorite summon. Let's get to it. PlayStation Blog. Okay, I'm not going to read like who's doing what. You'll figure out. The questions are being asked by PlayStation Blog. Yoshida is giving the answer. What do you think the core tenets of Final Fantasy game? The development team looked to the past titles in the series for guidance or inspiration when building Final Fantasy 16. I say the core elements of a Final Fantasy game are a deep story, deep gameplay, cutting-edge graphics, cutting-edge sound, as well as chocobos and moogles, of course. In the 35-year history of the Final Fantasy series, it's always been the guiding policy that each new installment has to be the very best game that the director at the time can put together. No matter how the game world, the characters, or the battle system might change. Because of this, gamers and Final Fantasy fans around the world have very different ideas of what a Final Fantasy game should be, but to me, it's those elements I mentioned. So what he's saying is, it's got to have moogles, chocobos, deep gameplay, deep story, cutting-edge graphics, and cutting-edge sound. He figures all those make up a Final Fantasy game. Of course, it's got to have chocobos and moogles, right? And it's got to be a fantasy-type world, at least. When it came to deciding what to do with Final Fantasy 16, I thought back to when I played the original Final Fantasy. I remember how I felt like I was playing the leading role in the motion picture. I wanted to recapture that feeling with Final Fantasy 16, with the state-of-the-art game design and the latest and modern technology. The whole development team under the directorship of Hiroshi Takai has come together to make this a dream a reality, so I hope you all look forward to it. So, yeah, we understand that where he kind of got his ideas from, like just he really wanted to be like hands-on under the project and make a game that's like it's inspired from him playing the original Final Fantasy game. So that's interesting. Thinking back to the beginning of the Final Fantasy 16 project, do you remember how the conversation went when you were asked to produce this new mainline entry? What was your initial reaction? I said thanks, but I had my hands full of Final Fantasy XIV, so let me think about it. I was truly honored that the company would choose my section, Creative Business Unit 3. So those of you that don't know who Creative Business Unit 3 is, it's the third division in Square Enix. I think they got like 4 total. And 3 is Final Fantasy 14 and 16, which is Yoshi P's team. Well, his team as a whole. They're responsible for making the next entry in the FF series. But as you probably know, I'm already the producer and director of Final Fantasy 14. I was worried that if I took the directorship of 16 too, fans of both games would have good reason to believe I wasn't giving either project my full attention. That's why he's not directing 16, because if he was directing both, he wouldn't be able to give his all to both projects, or the fans might think. To ensure the development of 16 didn't affect that of 14, we picked out a very small group of core team members to start with, and over the course of several years, slowly to start work on the new game, until we had the full team assembled. Alright, so that's what he did. They slowly built up the team, that way they can make sure 14 was still hitting the schedule deadlines. So that was great. That's awesome. That's why 16's taking a while to build. Another thing, I won't be able to read these other interviews in Japanese, but I'm going to say right now, a lot of people said, well, if they've been working on 16 since after the launch of 15, how come it's taking this long? Well, the short version of the story is, they was going to develop 16 on the PlayStation 4, but as they was getting the ideas of like how the console was, like far as like the specs, and like it wouldn't be able to carry out their true intentions, the true like visions of Final Fantasy 16. And I don't blame them, because the console now is like so old. Like the tech in it is not that great, especially for like modern day games. Don't get me wrong, games in 2020, 2021 still play fantastic for the most part, but it's just like it didn't go along with their vision. So they, all that wasted effort and stuff they put into visioning on the PlayStation 4 was wasted. So that's why it's PlayStation 5 only. It's not coming to the last gen, which it's understandable. How was the composition of the rest of 16's development team decided? Being the director of a Final Fantasy game is a tougher job than most people imagine. Not only do you have the expectations of fans and the media to live up to, but you're constantly under pressure from the development team too. You always have to be up for the challenge. So yikes, that sounds like a very tough, stressful job, especially under pressure. I worked with Hiroshi Take for many years. He is one of the most trusted colleagues, as well as a veteran developer, so I asked him if he would take the role, and thankfully he agreed. Because if he didn't agree on it, then either A, they would have to find someone else, or B, Yoshi P would have to be the director for both 16 and 14, and that would have been a lot on his plate. That's how it all started. We brought 2 other members into the group, and between the 4 of us, we sketched out the core concepts of the game and its world, and as well as the key themes that we wanted to put across the starting work on writing the main storyline. Later, we brought a few more members on board to take charge of the battle system, the graphics, and through a process of building on what worked and scrapping what didn't, we gradually moved towards full-scale development. And all the while, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, please don't let this impact Final Fantasy XIV. So even then, his mind was still focused on 14. It's like, let's not ruin 14. Let's not ruin the protection and development of 14, or slow it down in any way, because that's his baby. Him and his team, they love 14. They show a lot of passion for it, which is great. Talking specifically about the story writing process, not narrative details, how has it felt switching from multi-year, multi-expansion arcs to a self-contained standalone story? I worked on games that aren't MMOs before, so it wasn't a major stumbling block. Plus, each Final Fantasy XIV expansion has a similar level of new story content as a standalone RPG. So that's another worry I had, but I don't have to worry about it now, because each expansion of 14 was like almost like a standalone story. So it's like they already had like experience doing that, so it just had to bring it back to like single player focus, and instead of like just dragging out the plot, they have to make sure it comes back full circle, as he says later on in his interview. So let's see. So it wasn't different in work on that game. The only major difference I noticed was that if I wanted to foreshadow something, I had to pay off a lot faster. So like he can't just like start it early and like push it to like another expansion. He had to make sure like 16 stories told within the 16 story itself as a standalone, single player title. So that's the only difference. He had to make sure he hit the plot, foreshadow something. He had to pay off a lot faster than the MMO. Every Final Fantasy logo conveys a core theme of the game in some way. How does the Final Fantasy 16 logo do this? Yoshitaka Amano design for the logo is full of meaning, as you expect. It shows two icons facing off against each other, and the rest for now is a secret. That logo is foreshadowing stuff, so it's like they don't want any of us to know what's going on, other than there's two icons fighting. Following the debut of Final Fantasy 16 Dominance trailer during State of Play, we finally have a release window. Where will the development team be focusing their efforts during the final year before the game launches? Right now, the game is fully playable from start to finish. We have a lot of voiceover in several languages that still need to be recorded. Oof. Final Fantasy 16 is a very action-oriented game, so you're also doing a lot of playtesting to fine-tune the difficulty levels, as well as putting the final touches on the cutscenes and going through a full-scale debugging process. A year is a short time in the game development, so we're all straining at the bit to get it over the line. So, I know I read this earlier, but like, just rereading it now and let it soak in. This is why the game got delayed. It got delayed for a full year. Like, I think this game was potentially supposed to be out like early this year. Like late last year, early this year, but they didn't make it because COVID, and of course they got a lot of stuff to do. They got a lot of voice recording to do. Yeah, they're finishing up the cutscenes, they're fine tuning the battle process, debugging the whole game. So yeah, we're not gonna probably see this game till probably mid to late summer. Wow. But anyways, let's continue reading. Now it has been confirmed that there are some Final Fantasy XIV dev team members, including you, working on 16. You have specific systems or processes in place to ensure teams can perform the best of their abilities across two totally distinct games without burning themselves or yourself out. I imagine a lot of work on 16 must be happening around the same time as Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker preparations. So I wonder if this is like before Endwalker launched. This interview. I wouldn't call it a system per se, but the project managers and assistant producers on both projects do a great job of planning out my schedule to make sure I'm not overwhelmed. I wouldn't have a clue how to keep myself organized without them. Any decision regarding the overall management of the division I try to leave in the hands of upper management as much as possible, which allows me to focus on my work as producer and director. Rather than a specific system or a process, it's a sense of teamwork that built up over the years. Masayoshi Soken, sorry if I messed up the first name, I'll say Soken from now on, has his own people in the sound development who handles his schedule for him. Okay, two-part question. What is your favorite recurring summon from Final Fantasy series overall, and why? What is your favorite summon in Final Fantasy 16, and why? It's got to be Bahamut for me. He doesn't just destroy his enemies, but the ground they're standing on, even whole planets. Every time he appears, you know something incredible is about to happen. It helps that he's a big part of a story of Final Fantasy 14 too, which I have heard. I have never seen it, but I heard. As the summons that appear in 16, I do have my favorite, but I can't tell you right now, as it bound to result in a lot of speculation. What I can tell you is that they're all as cool as hell. So he has a favorite, but if he left slips which one's his favorite, then people are going to say, what's going on in this situation? It might end up spoiling something. Let's see. The new Dominance trailer also teased more of the game's music, with Soken, now confirmed as the 16th composer. Can you share any insight in the trailer music? Was the music we heard in the trailer made just for this beat, or does it include themes? Motus, I don't know how to pronounce that right. We can expect to hear in the full game. Not all the music is finished yet, but Soken, the kind of composer who likes to repurpose parts of that in game soundtracks and trailers. I'm sure you have heard some of the themes and motifs that will make their way into the game in-game music in the latest trailer. You have to invite Sulkin for an interview to find out more, but please, only once he's finished working on the soundtrack. So right there, guys, that just shows not even the soundtrack is finished. Like, they have a lot of work to do in the next year and a half. Not yet next year and a half, but over a year yet. I just hope they don't have any more bumps in the road, because that could delay things. I don't know. I'm excited, but let's just keep reading. What are some opportunities afforded by the PlayStation 5 hardware that have not been possible in previous generations? With a boost in the processing power, we can obviously make the graphics even richer than we could before. But it's the super fast loading times that's really impressed me. In Final Fantasy 16, you jump from story cutscenes and real-time battles and back again without any loading times. That's incredible. Making the gameplay flow at breakneck pace. It's only thanks to the power of the PlayStation 5 system we can make the Final Fantasy 16 the roller coaster ride that it is. That's the first interview. Alright, I'm gonna get a drink of water. We'll continue. Alright, before we move on to the next interview, this is by IGN. I just want to say quickly what I think overall for Final Fantasy 16, like the whole interview we just read. I just think that I thought the game's a lot further along than it was, but seeing now that it's a summer 2023 release window, not like a release date, they have a lot of work to do. And we all thought this game was possibly coming out this year, but man, it's just the game's not done. It's start to finish, yeah, you can play from start to finish, but like, I don't know, guys. I just hope they can hit the summer release, because that could affect Rebirth, which, have to see. Okay. Alright, Final Fantasy 16 producer confirms it won't be open world. That was a lot of people's issue with 16, like, with 15. The open world felt empty. To me, it did. Was it cool to like travel and be with the bros and fight and find some stuff? Yeah, but like it was empty pretty much. Like you can really explore until you get like this flying car, and even then it's like not really to do in the world other than you go to these gas stations and hotels and stuff like that. So it's like wasn't a whole lot. It was some hunting, but like people were worried about 16 being like that. Dry, you know, looks so beautiful and majestic, but like there's nothing to do in it. It's like empty, big open world, and that's what everybody thought from the screenshots, including myself. It looked like an open world game, but it's confirmed not to be an open world, which a lot of people are going, including me. When Final Fantasy 16 first revealed, many fans immediately assumed it would follow the footsteps of the predecessor and be a large-scale open world RPG. According to producer Naoki Yoshida, though, that won't be the case. Instead, Yoshida says Final Fantasy 16 will focus on the area-based design in a manner that sounds similar to Pokemon Legends Arceus, which was likely assumed to be a pure open world game that was when it was first announced last year. But while Final Fantasy won't be a traditional open world game itself, Yoshida does say it will take a lot of inspiration from AAA open world RPGs, though he doesn't name any. He doesn't name any of them, pretty much. He doesn't want to give away like what he's taking inspiration from. He's kind of keep it on the wraps. So it's going to be, to me, what this sounds like to me, it's going to be like open zones. It's going to be like a Final Fantasy 12, maybe Final Fantasy 14, just like a big like open zones. It's like seamless open zones with no loading. As long as it got us something for us to fight, to explore and find some things, I'm all for it. I like exploration. I think if it can like look at how like Elden Ring was, just use that example. I think the open world that was fun, like exploring, finding things, finding caves, and finding, items and armor and enemies to fight and stuff like that. If it can come kind of close to that, not exactly grand scale things, but like give us something to do in these open, wide, linear, open zones. I'm happy with it, We found in our extensive user research that many of the younger generation of gamers have never played a Final Fantasy or don't have any interest in the series. To create a game that might excite and resonate not only our core fans, but also with a new generation, we played a lot of games ourselves. So yes, in Final Fantasy 16, you'll find inspiration from recent AAA open world RPGs, Yoshida says. However, to bring a story that feels like it spans an entire globe and beyond, we decided to avoid open world design that limits us to a single open world space, instead focus on the independent area-based game design that can give players a better feel of a truly global scale, like open zones. You go from your kingdom open zone, you move on, transition over to another kingdom's open zone, yada yada, so on and so forth. Square Enix offered a better picture of the world in the update that went live last October when they introduced the 6 realms on the Final Fantasy 16 website. Model after traditional European fantasy, each nation will have a dominant, a special person who holds the power of Icon, a special summon that can level nations. The Icons were showcased in Sony's recent State of Play event, and Yoshida also revealed more information about how they will figure into combat and more. This is the juicy part. Square Enix's decision to avoid going with a traditional open world, surprising in light of the current trends, but fans will also recall the Final Fantasy 15 open world was generally criticized as barren and underdeveloped. Yeah, pretty much what I just said. Even fishing was pretty fun. Yeah, fishing was pretty fun. Yeah. Final Fantasy 16 might have been an opportunity to address those criticisms, but as in so often was the case with this series, Square Enix opted to go in a different direction. Final Fantasy 16 was first announced for PS5 back in 2020, but despite basic development already been completed, it's quickly vanished from the collective radar. It finally reappeared earlier this month. New trailer screenshots and posts introducing the development team, which is great. I'm glad we finally got a trailer and got some information for that. Final Fantasy 16 is set for summer 2023, but for the series fans who can't wait long enough, Square is rolling out Crisis Core Final Fantasy 7 Remaster. Can't wait. Which is due later this year. In the meantime, check out everything we said from the trailer. Okay, that's it for that one. So, I didn't really talk a whole lot about the icons in this. I thought this interview talked about the icons a little bit, but I can go in a little bit of detail. What I heard, the icons are going to be like, he wanted to make sure they're like really big, big, massive, enormous creatures that you're able to. He wanted us to control them. It's the first for the series. So I was like, that's interesting how they're going this way. They're making it more summon-focused story. Because that's what a lot of fans like complain about a little bit. Like, summons are cool and all, but like, what kind of part of the story do they play? Are they just there for us just to use? Like, they was just an asset, Like, now we're getting to the point where they actually play a major role. Final Fantasy 16. Right, one more post. I think, hang on. Let's see. Anyways, I think that's it for 16 development. Oh, other than... Shoot, there's another interview I missed. I can't find it right now, but I'll talk about a little bit. They talked about difficulty options. And there's two difficulties. Like, the normal option, you got the story mode. The story mode, they went into detail a little bit more. That your equipment and stuff you find in the world, you equip it in Clive. And, let's see. Let me try to remember, guys. Excuse me. Yes. Yes. This is the accessories equipment you find. Such accessories, you can equip Clive with certain accessories that you can actually use to like customize like your play style. Like, so if you want Clive to be more like not grounded, but like more like, how do you put it? More creative in his battle. If you don't want him to be like kind of bland, you can actually spice things up with like certain accessories. My only gripe with that, I know it makes things easier for players, especially on like those are not really good at like, action games. These accessories and stuff and options they have for story mode, it can make it easier for players to enjoy the story, enjoy the gameplay, without being really super, relying on their skills for action. My only complaint with that is they're gonna have that with the other mode as well, and I just hope that we don't have to like rely on switching out accessories so much, or items or equipment, so much that it becomes like a tedious chore. I just hope that, I know it's a choice for us to make. So if probably in my playthrough of Final Fantasy 16, I'll probably mess around with the accessories and stuff, but once I find my groove, then I definitely want to like just stick with it. Now the summons, like, they really want to like hammer on like this, like Clive using the summons and stuff like that for like to change up his battle stance and change up like the way he fights, to really make it like really cool, epic moments and the battles and stuff like that, which is great. We saw that in the trailer. We even saw that in the first trailer as well. Confirmation as well. Clive will not be on his own. He will have AI controlled. Yes, you heard me right. AI control NPCs and characters, like at least more than one character joining him. They will have banter and stuff for Clive, so he will have like interactions with them and a character growth. But we're not gonna be able to control them, so it's kind of like a Sonon. You can probably just, I don't even think you can tell them to do things. They're just gonna fight on their own, AI control. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of Final Fantasy 15 playstyle, and it's fine. It's fine, but as long as they keep Clive like epic and what we saw from the trailers, I'm all happy for. But if it gets to the point in the gameplay where it's like Clive, like you're just controlling Clive, and like you have other party members, like remember like Noctis had Prompto and Gladius, or Glad, I call him Glad. Agnes, like, they fought, but like, they're just there as like, just support. And maybe they'll have team combos. I don't know how that's gonna work. An action game, but yeah, AI controlled NPC for party members. I think that's gonna be fine. I'm definitely still gonna play it. I'll give my honest review of Final Fantasy 16 when we stream this thing next year. But right now, I would rather have like maybe Clive will run into characters and have some story moments with them. But like, if you're gonna have like a single character focused battles, like having the NPCs like AI just help fight, as long as they're able to hold their own and not like break the game, but like hold their own. You don't have to rely on like worry about them so much. Then it'll be fine. It's just about the balance. So we do have that. That's confirmed. Yeah. Other than that, I think the interviews were great. I wish I had another one I can read. But we'll have more information this fall. That's another thing too. They asked them. It's like, what do you want to tell the fans for those who are reading these interviews? And they just wanted to let us know that expect more information in the fall. And there's hints, I guess, towards another trailer releasing this fall. So get ready. I think it's probably going to be at the Tokyo Game Show. We'll probably see that in September. That's my honest opinion. Let me know what you guys think of Final Fantasy 16 gaming news, the updates. I know I covered a little bit in my video last night, early this morning, but I want to do like a deeper dive into the other interviews I missed. which I can't wait. I can't wait for this game. I know the story's gonna be great. Gameplay is probably gonna be fine. The music's gonna be amazing. What else? The characters. I think the characters gonna be great. But my only issue is, it's like, how efficient is Creative Business Unit 3 going to be with 16? Because we all thought they was a lot further along, and I know people are going to say, well, Yoshi P, he saved 14, he saved the company. Yes, I understand that. Him and his team saved 14, which failed Square Enix out from going bankrupt and potentially being bought by Sony, which, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, Sony, guess what, guys? 16 is going to be a console exclusive. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is console exclusive. I'm pretty sure that whatever the third game is for Final Fantasy VII, that's going to be console exclusive for a while. Sony is really just eating up these Final Fantasy games, and we'll see how Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be, and of course Dragon Quest 12. Depends how big and ambitious that game is. I don't know if that's going to be able to come on the Switch. I don't know, streaming. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys today. I know this stream went on a little bit, not super long, but enough to get the information out. I was going to just do like a video, talk about it, but I want to show my face, show my reaction to these news, go over it with you guys today, and there's a lot to take in. A lot of news. I'm so thankful we got something from these interviews, and I'm excited. Do I have worries? Yes. I do worry about the development for this game, because they still gotta finish up the soundtrack. They still gotta debug the whole game. They still gotta finish, like, optimization and stuff like that, and they only got a year or so to get this game out, so they're crunch mode. People don't like it, but Yoshi P and them are in crunch mode right now. And I just hope that the game will live up to expectations. A lot of people are expecting big things from 16. And I just hope that everything plays out the way Square wants, because this is huge. This is huge for Sony. Sony is having these at the State of Plays. They're having this at the the PlayStation event. They're just telling people it's PlayStation exclusive. If you want to play 16, you got to come to PlayStation. So I just hope that 16 will do extremely well, and they will sell and reach their goals. Because with that and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Sony's scooping up exclusives. So Sony is also taking some risk here with some money-making deals. These exclusive deals are not cheap. Sony is literally paying Square off to say, keep these on PlayStation. Keep these on PlayStation. Even Forspoken got a 2-year deal, because I guess the first year of the deal is with delays and stuff, so they had to extend it. So, anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Final Fantasy 16 and all these updates. Are you guys more excited for the game? Are you guys kind of worried like me about the development? Because, let's face it, I am more confident with Creative Business Unit 1, development of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and the third title. They're already working on the third title, by the way, which is huge. So, like, I don't know. 16's having some development issues. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is having smooth as fuck development. I'm sorry for the curse word. I'm just being honest. I'm excited about 16. Again, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of all this. That's all I have for you guys today. So have a wonderful day, wonderful night. Keep on keeping on. I'll have links in the description below for my Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. Feel free to throw a like on this video. Subscribe if you guys want more Final Fantasy 16 news, reactions, streams, etc. I'm J19. Thank you guys for listening to the J19's Gaming Podcast stream, episode 7. And with that said, you guys be safe out there. Be nice to each other. Love you guys. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Take care. God bless.